right, we're back for the last podcast of the year, joined by my brother Matt. How you doing, pal?
Pumped to be here. I can't believe we're already at the end of 2022.
Wow.
insane year, but there's no better way to end the year than chatting with you about things that we love. So
that's the plan today. We're going to go over our top 5 favorite things that we watched, movies, TV shows of 2022.
Yeah.
Seems like a good way to end the year.
Yeah, there's so much stuff. But before we even get into that, I just wanted to chat with you and congratulate you. Made it the year now doing a podcast every single week. How are you feeling about that? I know that was a goal of yours.
Every week. So this is going to be episode 33 when it posts on the day after Christmas.
Jeez.
33 weeks in a row. So I think that puts us back to May sometime.
Mm-hmm.
Fun, man.
What learnings have you got? Like, what have you learned, I guess, kind of doing this for 33 straight weeks?
I try to do a better job listening when I'm talking to people. We talked about it in the very first episode where you're just sitting there and you're thinking about the next thing you're going to say while the person's saying what they're saying. It's like I'm really trying to not do that. It's hard, right? But I'm trying to focus on that more. I think I'm doing a little bit better job at asking questions. But ultimately, I'm happy with how it's all gone so far. I mean, 33 weeks, I've had some conversations with people that are old friends of mine that I hadn't talked to in a long time, people that I've never met before in my life. I've had conversations with people that I do know real well, but about things that I've never really discussed with them. So, I mean, I think it's a win all around. You know, I'm getting out of it what I was hoping to get out of it.
It's so freaking cool. You know what I mean? Remember when you telling me you're doing this? I thought it was awesome. And just as a loyal listener, every week listener, it's true though. I mean, you've gotten so much more comfortable. And even as every week goes on, it's awesome. So with that being said, is this keeping this train going in 2023? What's the plans?
Well, I haven't decided on my long-term plan, but I think from day one I've said I wanted to do one a week for a year, right? So I still got another 19 episodes to go. I have one other one recorded. That'll be episode 34. I got 35 scheduled. So I'm trying to get 52. Do I think I keep it going? Yeah. You know, I can't see why I wouldn't do it. I don't think it's that much of a time commitment for me. People are like, how do you find time to do this? And it's like, you know, we put something on the schedule. This will take 45 minutes to an hour. I'll do another 45 minutes to an hour to edit it and then pump it out. If I do that once a week, it's not that much time for me to be able to have these good, meaningful conversations with people. And honestly, I want to pump people up. I just had Keith on last week, and you listened to that.
Yep.
Like, that was awesome.
Yep.
That's probably one of my favorite ones.
Yep.
Because it's someone that I've known since I was a kid, that's working hard, who's making noise, doing something, and I want to pump people up, promote them, you know, and give them a chance to talk about whatever they got going on in their life that's positive. And, you know, there's so much crappy news all the time. So if we get good conversations, I think that's cool.
And it's just, like you said, a great reason to, connect with people you maybe haven't talked with in a while or learn something new about someone that you thought you knew something about. It's awesome and love it. So proud of you, man.
Awesome.
Love the from the logo to where we are now, dude. It's awesome. So
thanks, bud.
I'm looking forward to listening to more next year.
I always look forward to our podcast because they're the ones that are kind of off the beaten path, right? Like I'm focusing on business people, community members, talking about maybe some serious things once in a while, but then we get to do our podcast where we talk about things that we like. And if we were ever to do a long-term podcast, it would be something like this.
Yes.
So it's nice to be able to break it out every 5-6 weeks.
Well,
and
it's funny because once you told me what the topic was 2 weeks ago, it's been tough because I almost try not to call you, which sucks because we haven't talked to the phone because it's I almost don't want to talk to you about things that we're going to be talking about on here because this is what our normal conversations are literally all the time. So
yeah, we're usually talking about things that we're watching, movies, that sort of stuff, probably more than sports. When we talk plenty of sports stuff, it really is this stuff more than that. So yeah, I've definitely avoided you for the past couple of years.
All right. And have you been I've tried it, I haven't quite gotten there, but have you just been jamming things through last time? So much to watch.
I did
as much stuff as possible.
You know, so I've watched a lot of things in the past week, and we'll get to all that stuff, but some things were as good as I had hoped they would be. Some things weren't. You know, I watched things thinking okay, this will make my top 5, and then I find out that they actually didn't. There's so many fun things that we watched over the course of the year.
It's insane. And looking at, so we can, we'll tee it up and however you want, but looking at this list, the one thing I will say, because I came up with about 22 things or whatever, and TV has dominated. I don't know if it's been for you too, but TV's just it's probably 5 to 1 more TV shows than I watch than movies.
It's not quite 5 to 1, but it's definitely more prevalent. I mean, TV shows are funner to watch. They're smaller, bite-sized.
Yeah.
things that you can watch and really think about. You can listen to a podcast that's related to the TV show, really get into it and enjoy it. With movies, it's just not quite that same. There's not that many good ones, I think, over the course of the year. And even then, like some of the ones that I've watched recently for this podcast, like I have to watch in like 45-minute increments.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough. But with that being said, too, like there are a lot of things I did not get a chance to see. Did you want to talk about any of the things that you wish you kind of saw beforehand?
Yeah. I'll fire one away, and then we'll go back and forth for a few. Won't spend too much time on it, but one movie that I did not watch, think I would love, is The Batman. So I haven't seen that yet. I think the reason I haven't watched it is because I was told how long it was.
It's like 3 hours, yeah.
I think for you, and again, that's a huge commitment for me to watch 3 hours.
Absolutely. My big one is a TV show that I'm disappointed in myself for not getting it to here, because I know it would have been on my list, but Better Call Saul. Is not watching. I have like 5 to go. I just couldn't get it done.
5
episodes to go. And I know. I know, right? It's insane. It's sad. But that would have been on my list because that show is just phenomenal. You know what I mean?
That's on my to-watch list. Yeah. I'm a few episodes behind, but I definitely kind of got into all the hype around the final season. Talked to some people who love the way it ended, so it's going to happen at some point.
What else? What else for you? I'll say what's your one? Like, I know you haven't seen it. Maybe it's on your list. Maybe it's not. But it's Banana Land. You and I did not go see this together. But Black Panther. Like, I can't. You know what I mean? Like, that's.
I thought you said the name of the show was Banana Land. I'm like, what's Banana Land? Because I thought that's just life right now.
Yeah, it is. But it is Banana Land that we have not seen Black Panther, because we used to make it like. I mean, and not that just life gets busy, you know what I mean? But yeah, we haven't seen Black Panther, which is crazy. So that's on my list.
I haven't seen a lot of Marvel movies. I do enjoy those movies. We talked plenty about them. You know, big Avengers Endgame guy, but like I haven't seen Doctor Strange.
Phase 4, yeah.
So
all right.
This is one
so
of
that was
things.
on my list.
And it's on Disney Plus too, so it's just a matter of me watching it at this point.
Exactly.
Haven't seen White Lotus. That seems to be the big hot thing right now, which you're watching right now.
We just finished it. Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah. So that's one definitely
so maybe that'll come
on your radar.
Yeah, so I want to add that. And then last thing, which I loved, I think I associated very much with the pandemic, because I never watched the second season of Ted Lasso, and that feels like a million years away, but that was earlier 2022.
Yes, yeah, because it was like around January, and that's.
So anyways, I love the first season of Ted Lasso. Yeah. I talked about that show with anyone I possibly could when it was around, and I just never watched the second season for whatever reason, so got to make it happen.
100%. Season 2 is phenomenal. Only other 2 movies I'd say that are really on my radar, and I know it must be on yours too, but Everything Everywhere All at Once is the movie that, again, everyone's talking about earlier in the year, blew everyone's mind. That one's a must-watch. And then the more recent one that just came out is The Whale with Brendan Fraser. That's just getting all kinds of buzz. The full trailer just came out. And that movie just looks like it's going to pull at your heartstrings. And The Mummy was such a big movie. First off, Encino Man and The Mummy was like 2.
Encino Man, Mummy, Blast from the Past.
He was like our childhood, and just like a great guy. And I anyway, that The Whale is going to be something that we'll be watching shortly. Yeah. So those are all things that
you'll probably see it before me, so I'll wait to hear. But everything sounds good about it.
Yeah,
so,
awesome.
So if you are still listening at this point, 10 minutes into the podcast, those are the things that we have not watched and want to watch.
Yeah.
Now we'll get to the list. We're going to do it like we always do it. Top 5 in reverse order, alternating between 2 and 1. We'll do some honorable mentions. That list is very long. Really like the list, but I'll have you get started. Though.
Yeah.
What's your number 5?
My number 5, and I was very much wondering if this was going to be recency bias or not, but my number 5 is White Lotus, Season 2. I freaking love this show.
That's recency bias.
It isn't, though. It isn't. This is because I thought long and hard about it. I am so disappointed the show is over. It's only 7 episodes.
That's perfect.
It's in the most beautiful location. It takes place in Sicily. It's and how the show is written. Mike White, who is the creator and director of the show, he writes dialogue like I've never even seen before. It's so awkward but so well done that I am on the edge of my seat the entire episodes. It's like 3 or 4 different storylines kind of all converging into one. I'm bummed that you have not watched this yet, because I cannot wait to talk to you in a spoiler type way about this show. But I'm telling you, it lives up to the hype. I can't wait for whatever direction they go in next year. But The White Lotus on HBO is a top 5 show for me this year.
Bummed that I haven't seen it. I feel like these adult conversations I have with people, everyone's talking about The White Lotus, and I kind of have to remove myself from these conversations. So it's very much on next on our list. Me and Tara are finishing Handmaids, which is not on our list.
Yeah.
But we gotta finish it.
Yeah.
And then we'll watch White Lotus.
So getting on, it's a fun show, great acting, and you'll want to go to Italy the second you put it on. Also, great theme song. The opening song, that is going to be HBO does it better than everybody. So cool.
Love it.
Number 5.
Can't wait to see it. 5 for me. I wonder if this will be on your list, but it almost feels like it was from 2021 because it was so early in the year. But it's Station 11.
That was number 6 for me. It just missed my list. 6. I'm so happy because I will shout from the rooftops about this show. Go ahead.
Yeah. I almost actually, it was like a last second switch between this and something else. I would say this was between 5 and 6 for me. But the thing is, it seems like so long ago, I almost don't remember how much I liked it at the time. And then when I really think about it, I was all in on that show. Basically, what the premise is for people that hadn't seen it is there's a pandemic, like a respiratory pandemic, mass, deaths. It really focuses on this little girl and this guy that kind of takes care of her for a while. Then they fast forward to the future, 20 years, and there's a little bit of mystery mixed in, but it's an actual really emotional story. I think I cried at the end of the second last episode of the season. It was a fantastic show. Another HBO show.
You told me about this. So this was on my list because it premiered. Because I wanted to see if we could follow it. It premiered on December 16th. And so of last year, and it carried over to this year. And at 100%, again, it was very close to on my list. Just a beautifully shot show. It's so emotional. It really is. And it's weird because when, pandemic obviously was still really, really heavy last December and January. People were still top of mind. And then this show was kind of about that. But they made, I think they made the show before the pandemic even happened.
Yeah,
right?
They definitely did. They definitely did. So it was coincidental, the whole pandemic thing. But when I was watching it, though, it was in January. And not that we were in full-blown COVID mode, but it was like last winter was still a little bit touch and go with stuff, So like it was just a weird show to be watching where life still seemed like it was a little bit crazy.
It was so well done. So I'm very happy it's on number 5 show. And another great score in that one, too. The music in that one is... It's fantastic.
I highly recommend it to anyone.
I think it's only like 8 episodes or so. Again, it's only one season. I don't think they're going. I think it's a kind of contained story.
No, I mean, there's nothing. This is based on a book. Yeah. So I think it's technically a miniseries, maybe.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
But it's nice to watch a show that you're not committing to the next 5 years, or you have to catch up on to be able to be current with it. It's just nice, easy watch. Great self-contained story, well shot, well acted, awesome.
Yep.
Lock it up.
So absolutely. All right, so my number 4, and I have a feeling this is on your list, but my number 4, recency bias, I guess, is Andor. Andor freaking blew my mind. A little late to it, I just couldn't get it, but I got all caught up in the last couple of weeks. And talk about a Star Wars show that hit a home run with this story, and a character that I, quite frankly, did not care much about. I loved Rogue One. Yes. Rogue One was one of the best Star Wars movies that came out in the last 10 years or whatever. Truthfully, an unbelievable film. But like Cassian Andor wasn't like he was a great character, but he wasn't even the star of that movie,
Well, it was an ensemble cast.
It was.
Rogue One. I think that movie starts out with him, and he's kind of the main guy, but it's not like head and shoulders above everyone else. It's very much a team effort in that movie. So to make a TV show centered around him, I definitely wasn't very excited. I didn't even watch this show for the first month, and I'll actually say that this is my number 1.
Oh, shoot. Oh, I didn't realize it was at number 1. Yeah.
Don't be. Yeah. Don't be. I loved it. So like I said, there's so much stuff on TV. I haven't been very happy with the Star Wars stuff over the past couple of years outside of Mandalorian. So I was not in a rush to watch it. I actually figured I would never watch it. But then, you get 4 or 5 episodes into things. You kind of can't stop hearing people talk about it, reading about it online on Twitter. And I'm like, all right, I'll take a look. And that's when I started watching it. And dude, I was blown away. Like, Star Wars stuff aside, this is a fantastic TV show. It's like beautiful, great effects, great acting, a great story from beginning to end.
You could take this story, it has nothing to do with if you change the stormtroopers to any type of like dictatorship through the history of time, and this wouldn't be a Star Wars story. So what was the pinnacle for you in this? Like all 12 episodes, I have a clear literally like tears in my eyes kind of moment in the show.
Why don't you tell me?
It was number episode 10, the one when they break out of the spoiler alert if you haven't watched it yet, kind of odd one knows. But when they broke out of the prison and stuff, and the guy that worked at the prison, he gave this amazing speech about rising up and getting out, and started this chant, one way out, and the whole prison kind of uprises and gets out, and the music, and I am like, yes, like all in on this like rebellion. I thought that was such a beautiful, beautiful moment and episode of TV.
So episode 6 is probably a highlight for me. That's when they're kind of executing on that plan that has kind of been put in place the previous few episodes. Yeah, the way it ends, the people that die, and just the way that it's shot, I thought was a highlight. But I will say, the other part is the end of that episode you referenced to. I think, is it Luthen?
Luthen. I mean, unscarred.
He has a speech. He has a speech at the end where he's talking to some other guy, and it's basically his mole inside the Empire, and that guy wants out of doing that anymore, and, you know, because he has a kid and all that stuff, and then Luthen comes in and talks about all the things that he sacrificed, you know, for the cause that they're kind of working on, and it was just like, I think, like, it was
built into that same prison episode. We have the two most, like, incredible monologues in TV, where Luthen's thinking about what he has sacrificed, and, again, the actors, they get to play this, and this is, like, how... I mean, Disney spends a ton of money on this stuff, and it shows in the quality of show, the quality of acting. I mean, this show is blown up this last 6 weeks or so specifically. A brilliant show. The level of difference between 1 and 4 specifically for me is like razor thin for this. Yeah. So
when I get to my number 2, it was really between these two. And honestly, I had them switched the other way for a while, but then when I really thought about it, like, I was trying to think of, like, the shows that I really loved. And number 2 is I very much enjoyed. Like, this, like, Andor was, like, was pinnacle for me for whatever reason. You know, so anyway.
Is there anything else you want to mention about it?
Just the last thing is I think it's cool to mention that I think it was a 12-episode season, right?
Yep.
And did they have 4 different directors that did, like, 3...
It was in 3 different chunks.
You could watch those first 3 and see, like, kind of a storyline that Carson stops over the course of those 3, and the next 3, and next 3. And it was very interesting to see where, because like when it ended after episode 6, you're like, okay, like I thought they would be building the whole season towards what just happened, and then it was over. And then like the next 3 episodes, I mean, it was just like, it changed very much, and it was always engaging. You couldn't predict what was going to happen next. It was awesome.
And the theme of Star Wars crushing it with androids, again, continues in Rogue One. An unbelievable android, again, pulls at your heartstrings, so... Great show. Awesome. All right, what's the number 4?
Number 1, check that out if you haven't seen it. Who cares if it's Star Wars?
It's incredible.
Okay. So I guess I'm up with number 4. So this is going to surprise you. It actually surprises me a little bit when I think of all the things that I've seen this year.
Wait, quick question. Is it Saved by the Bell, the reboot? Is that what it is?
It was Saved by the Bell on Peacock. Honestly, great freaking pick by me at this time. I mean, honestly, that was...
It's great.
I mean, I'm surprised you can think of it. Because you're always trying to do these, like, hard
Here we go.
TV shows and movies. So it's like, I picked something from my childhood that I like.
It's great. I love it. All right, so what's your number 4?
Great pick by me. I'm picking Avatar, Way of Water. So, I'm not going to get into the spoilers, obviously, because you haven't seen it. But I saw it just a couple days ago, and I'm like, I can't really put this on there. Recency bias. And I'm not going to say it's the best story movie that you'll ever see. I mean, there's better stories. I mean, even things in my honorable mentions probably have better stories. But, dude, when I'm sitting there watching this movie, I'm like, what the hell am I even looking at right now? Like, nothing on this screen is real life, except that it looks like it's real life when you're watching it on the movie. It's freaking nuts, man. The things that they do with the water and the flying and the Na'vi, which are the blue people, if you're not a big Avatar people, like... You know, they're mixed in with, like, humans, and you're just like, what? Like, I don't even understand how they could possibly make this movie. It is so impressive visually. You'll see it, and you'll think, wow, I've never seen it.
The amount of pressure that was on James Cameron to be able to deliver this movie. I mean, how many years in the 10 years? 10 years since Avatar? No, 12 or 13 years since Avatar.
I think it was 2009.
Yeah, 2009 when Avatar came out. 13 years. I've been talking about this forever. And this movie is not a dud. It is a financial. I think it did great at the box office, right?
Yeah, a little less than half a bill.
I mean, and it's probably only going to grow. He is unbelievable. Like, you just can't count him out. His skill set, and I can't wait to go see it. I just haven't had a chance. There's only a handful of movies I feel like nowadays that it's like a must. You must go to the movie theater and see this movie. And this is that one.
I went on Monday morning at 10:30 in the morning, and the freaking movie theater was packed.
Was it really?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't 100%.
Yeah, but
packed,
still,
like,
Monday morning at
it was,
10:30.
if I had to guess, like, I didn't even realize it when I was sitting down or when we got there, but then I went down to go to the bathroom. It's a 3-hour movie, so I could not go to the bathroom.
Yeah, I know.
But when you walk back in, you're like, holy shit, this place is freaking full. And I think that just kind of speaks to the movie. I mean, who's not going to... I mean, people are going to see anything. People that go to one movie a year, this is going to be that one movie.
Yeah.
I think for most people.
Yeah. It's just James Cameron. What's your favorite James Cameron movie? I think I know what it is. It's probably the same one as me, but...
For me, it'd be T2.
Yeah, T2. Me, T2 as well. T2 is I mean, talk about a movie that holds up still. That movie is
holds up
30 years old or whatever.
I want to watch it today. It's so good.
Terminator 2 is so good. James Cameron, man. But then you look at his thing. I mean, The Abyss, True Lies, freaking Titanic is so good. Yeah. Titanic is so unbelievable. You know, obviously, Avatar. The guy is just aliens. He's the best. So
there's no one better than him.
No.
Right?
No.
Like, there's no one he's just kind of his own thing. You know what I mean? There's, like, good directors, up-and-coming directors, but, like, James Cameron is just different. You know, like, when it comes to action movies, he's as good as it
I'd say him, obviously, Christopher Nolan is, like, when his name's associated with a movie, it's like, okay, you know what you're gonna get with him. Obviously, Spielberg pumps out so much more stuff, but, like, Cameron, man, and I know you've only watched this one, but I'm fired up for what their plan is for the next 10 years, right, with this movies?
I hope they're able to execute on it, because I did very much enjoy the movie, right? I don't know what it is about it that doesn't connect with people in a way that, like, a Star Wars does, or like a Harry Potter does, or something where you, like, really, like, watch these shows or movies and want to consume every aspect of it you possibly can, but, like, I don't know, man, it's getting there. I think it was a step in the right direction. Yeah, the third is already filmed. I heard the beginning of the fourth is already filmed because they didn't want people to age too much. He called it the Stranger Things effect. So, like, things are filmed. Whether they get to the fifth that they have planned depends on how well these next couple movies do. But hopefully they do well, man. I enjoyed it. It's 3 hours long, and I think it's broken down into, like, very clear thirds when you watch it. And, dude, the last third is freaking awesome. And even the first two are great, too. But, like, the last
hour of the movie,
I was on the edge of my seat watching some really cool stuff. And I actually can't wait for you to see it. But, you know, if you're thinking about going and you're just like, Avatar, like, check it out. You know, like... we watched it in 3D. I don't know if there's an option to not watch it in 3D. I didn't really know when I bought the tickets, but the glasses they give you are freaking wrong. Like, I feel like back in the day they used to have one thing on paper when I was like blue and I was
that
red.
was Back to the Future guy.
And now these things are like, I'm like, can I take these home with me? Are these like my new glasses? Like, so like, when you're wearing it, they're comfortable. They have like a wide field of view. So like. You're really just like it was. So if you're concerned about 3D stuff, don't be. I thought it was a great experience all around.
Awesome, great. I'm fired up. I hope to be seeing it. My goal was over break. We'll see. So looks awesome. So. Did
you see Edie Falco's quote real quick?
Yeah, I did. She filmed it like 4 years ago and thought the movie came out
was a bomb.
Yeah, so she came out. Yeah, she filmed it 4 years ago. Forgot that the movie didn't come out yet. Thought the movie already came out and bombed. And just didn't hear anything about it.
It was a bonkers quote. I still
quite frankly didn't even know she was in the movie. I didn't, and I think like Kate Winslet's in the movie. Like there's like people in this movie that I didn't even know.
Yeah, you can't tell.
Yeah,
Kate Winslet's in it. Like certain people look like their actor. I think that's the idea. That's what they would want. Like the person Kate Winslet plays. I did not see Kate Winslet in it. But that's cool.
Last thing, speaking of just giving her credit, we always give her credit where credit is due. But Zoe Saldana, who has her, if you look at her gross movies that she's in, has to be upper echelon between the Avatar movies, Guardians of the Galaxy, Star Trek. She's incredible. Love Zoe Saldana. So anyway, cool.
So, anyway, check it out.
What do you got for
my
number 3 is The Boys season 3. I don't know if this one made your top 5 by your reaction. Probably not.
It didn't. You know what's funny is it's not even on my.
Really?
On my list.
Are you? I am shocked to hear that because you're the one that got me into The Boys, and I shout about The Boys from the rooftop. And people who watch it will either think I'm really strange and there's something wrong with me, or they'll like absolutely love it and get it. I think, and I talk about razor thin. I mean, this could have been number 1. I love The Boys. And season 3 was, I thought, their best season to date, no question.
You know, I'm disappointed in myself for overlooking it. I don't know that it would have made it my top 5. Probably should be on my honorable mention, but that's an amazing show. It really is one of those shows, though, that when you recommend to someone who's never seen it, and when they first watch it, they might be like, this guy is a freaking weirdo. Watching it. show. You know, but if you stick with it, it's a freaking great show, man. And this season was awesome.
This season was incredible, and it really kind of talked about like really political climate like nowadays and that kind of stuff, and like what it tackled, and just in and of itself, we've talked about him before. But Anthony Starr, the guy that plays Homelander is if we were to do a top 5 TV character, he might be on my list. I think anytime he is on screen, I cannot take my eyes off because he's so unpredictable and I don't know what's going to happen. But he does it. He does it for me. He's just, and he's an awful person. But he's so good as an actor that I can't look away. So
yeah, fascinating character.
Yep.
Great TV show. Yep. I love it that it's on your list.
I'm excited for season 4. So again, not for everybody, but it's my number 3 show of 2022. So
awesome.
Cool. What's your number 3?
I'm interested to see where my number 3 and number 2 fall on your list, but this number 3 actually, this one very, very much surprises me, but it's Top Gun Maverick. So is it on your list?
It's number 2 on my list.
Number 2. So, okay, this is where it would be back to back anyways. So
perfect. Let's dive.
I have not seen Top Gun 1, at least in completion, right? So I've seen parts of it. It's just one of those things that we never watched growing up. We were too busy watching Predator and Big Trouble in Little China. Never really watched Top Gun. So anyways, I didn't see Top Gun Maverick in theaters. One of the few people, maybe one of like the less than 100 people in the country, I think, that hasn't seen that movie in theaters. And I knew we were making this podcast. I'm like, I got to watch this movie. But like, I don't know where it's going to fall on my list. And dude, it was freaking awesome from beginning to end. Music, action, performances, like I freaking love it.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm surprised this is on your list and it beat out Avatar. This freaking movie. Talk about a movie that lived up to the hype. Holy smokes. And I too didn't see it in the theater. I saw it at my brother-in-law Jeff, his house is big TV, watched in completion, and you're right. The first 15 minutes, I am freaking all in. And I kind of messaged you talking about this, is you know what it is? Freaking Tom Cruise, man. Just that guy is so good at just being Tom Cruise. You know what I mean? For 2.5 hours, he is, like, I know he's all personal stuff, Scientology, weirdo guy probably in real life, but there is no movie star that could have pulled off Top Gun like Tom Cruise did. So
he's the man. He is a true movie star. He might be the guy when you're like, picture movie star in your head. He is like a true movie star. Carries the movie, the charisma, the character. And plus, honestly, planes and aircraft carriers, that stuff's awesome.
And how they filmed it, like how they like they're all real. You know what I mean? Like there's like very little like CGI in this movie. Like the planes are really doing these tricks. The cast is so good. And spoiler alert, hopefully you've seen this movie, but I don't care. We're gonna talk about it. The Val Kilmer scene when Tom Cruise goes to meet with Val Kilmer, who was obviously in the original. He was the big antagonist in the original Top Gun. They didn't get along until the end of the movie. And Val Kilmer, who has been battling, I believe it's been throat cancer for years. He can't talk anymore, can't act. His whole acting life is done. And for him to have this moment, and he knocks it out of the park with this acting scene that he's in, typing on a computer. Literally Top Gun made me cry. Like it's insane to say. It was so, and then it battles. It's a perfect balance of like wicked corniness with like great action, like the football scene on the beach. They call it dogs.
We did talk about this in the past couple of weeks. I still don't know exactly what was going on.
You're playing offense and defense.
I told you they were all wearing jeans on the beach, and I don't quite understand a scenario that you would be doing that. Playing football on the beach, but I mean, these guys are obviously in better shape than I am, so I guess maybe that's
a funny story. I don't know if you heard this or read this story, but they filmed that football scene, all right? And I guess for like weeks, the actors were being wicked healthy and working out like crazy, all kinds of like getting tip-top shape. They filmed it afterwards. After they filmed it, they all went out. They had burgers and shakes, ate like crap or whatever. All done with that scene. A week later, Tom Cruise watched the scene and was like, nope, not good enough. Have to do it over again. So all the match stuff, to eat healthy again, they got right back in the gym to try to get healthy. And that scene that's in the movie was the second version that they filmed and stuff.
That's so funny.
And then great setting. How about that bar? Jennifer Connelly, who again, I thought also could have won the movie.
Yeah, she still got
that bar where they were just hanging out at. I'm like, get me there immediately. You know,
I want to hang there. I want to play the piano and everyone is singing and going nuts. Are you kidding me? That's in San Diego, right?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Yeah. So like we went to San Diego earlier this year. I was like, I didn't see that place.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
tell me where that is.
it's great. The soundtrack is fantastic, but there's also this one kind of quibble that you had that I'll you bring up because you texted me with my boy John Hamm's character.
Dick. What's the matter with that guy? I don't even understand it. Why do you hate?
Yes.
Why are you so angry?
Yeah, he
like
was very angry in this movie. He just does not like Maverick.
It was inexplicable.
Yeah.
Which is whatever. I guess you need a guy like that. You need someone to kind of move the plot along and antagonize a little bit. But I just didn't care. I thought it was immediately.
Yeah, I know. And it just sticks the landing. No pun intended with planes, but it absolutely sticks the landing. The ending is fantastic. So Top Gun Maverick, biggest grossing movie of the year. Still, Avatar couldn't catch it. It's great. And I think it's being re-released between Christmas and New Year's at theaters, too.
Yeah, a couple closing thoughts on it. When the movie came out, up until now, I've probably been to about a half dozen parties where it gets put on in the background.
Really?
Which is very weird to me. You know what I mean? But, like, also a sign of how much people love this movie.
Yeah.
You know, like I don't know that I've been to a party in the past 20 years where people are like, let's just throw this movie on to have in the background. But it's happened with, like, multiple sets of friends, multiple people, multiple times. Meanwhile, I'm just like looking away because like I hadn't seen any of these points, but I just thought it was like a testament to how much people love this movie, rightfully so.
Yeah, I love that. That's a great point. I'm gonna pull that off now. I'm gonna start doing that at parties.
We'll just throw. I mean, people put football games on in the background now. It's just putting Top Gun Maverick on in the background. And then I have a question for you about Top Gun. I don't know if you've given any thought to this, but I do because I'm a freaking weirdo. But who do you think the bad guys are? Have you given any thought to this?
Yes, I have, because that's the one thing I think in the original one and this one, the enemy.
It's like
there's no country. They don't talk.
Black. There's no flags on them.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, my brain always goes Russia. You know what I mean? Like ever since Rocky IV, Russia's always kind of been, and then recently they're always kind of the bad guy. So I'm gonna go with Russia. Although, who do you think it is?
No, I don't know. I mean, I watched a YouTube video that kind of broke down like the top 5 or 6 potential bad guys.
Well, because there's snow, right? There's snow.
Because there's snow, so they always wanted to like make it so that made sense with the geography. Yep. So I think Russia was the first on the list, right? Yep. And then China, North Korea.
Yep.
All 3 of those all have nuclear weapons. Yep. So the idea of attacking them and not expecting some type of counterattack kind of eliminated those 3 from contention as the villain. And believe it or not, this video made a case that it was actually Iran.
Oh, I heard that.
And they said that there are parts in Iran that has snowy mountains, but I don't know if they're that freaking snowy. If there's spots in Iran that look like that, then that's going to be the first time I've ever.
That's a good point.
But I mean, we're not going to fly into like Russia and freaking bomb some nuclear base and then think that we're not getting a nuke in Washington, D.C.
I know.
So anyways, it was an interesting thought to me. There's no real answer to it, but it's just a funny thing to think about.
It is. And that mission, again, it's the movie's so great because it is simple. There's like, exactly, like this whole mission and what they're practicing for is kind of set up early in the movie. And then and the mission was awesome. And what ended up happening at the end was a little bit of a curveball that just, had you standing up at the end of the movie. So, yeah, that's a good. And yes, I'm going to stick with Russia. Iran's a good thought, though. So.
Okay. All right, dude. So I guess we can move on. Are you cool with that?
I'm cool with that. I could not recommend that movie. I think we each only have one left.
Yeah, I have my number 2 and your number 1.
And I'm pretty sure it's the same one. So why don't we go to honorable mentions first?
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, I bet you they are the same.
Yeah,
thing.
They are.
All right. So what do you got? Hit me with your first honorable mention.
I can't. If you would have told me back in July or August this wasn't going to be on my list, I would have been shocked. Stranger Things, season 4. Yep. I thought this season was a home run. I thought this season was so good with the character of Vecna and how they broke it up into kind of 2 sections. I thought it deserves a lot of praise. I can't wait for the final season next year.
Yeah, it not being in your top 5 doesn't speak to it not being good. It just speaks to how good the other things are. Stranger Things is on my honorable mention. I loved Stranger Things when it came out. The music was great. That Kate Bush song. I mean, as much as it played, I still enjoy it when I hear it because it brings me back to the ending of that awesome episode.
Oh, unbelievable. And
I would say the highlights of the season for me were more in the middle of the season than the way that it actually ended. But like, dude, I thought it was.
I loved the way it ending. I thought the character of Eddie was such a huge. Again, spoiler alert! People that haven't watched it, like he ends up dying in the in the season, which was a kind of a shock. But he was.
So it was like a redemption arc for him, like
yeah.
going against what his inclination is, which is like to run and hide. He kind of stepped up and played a big role.
And to see these kids, like, I mean, these kids now, it's the fourth season, they were literally like young kids in season one, and to see them grow up and still got. I mean, the characters are great, and I like how we have a face now with Vecna, who the bad guy is, where they're going. This is like where season 5 is going to be. So great. That's
Vecna's origin story was pretty.
I thought it was so good. Yeah.
Whether or not it was obvious, I guess I don't know. It's probably obvious in hindsight that guy that they would show early in the season was Vecna. But I don't get too caught up in that stuff. So to me, it's all enjoyment. When they did that reveal, I was like, oh, that's cool. And I just enjoyed it for what it was. It was probably telegraphed, but it was
good for Netflix for I slightly deviating from their binge model. Because I so much love like the weekly. They did it in 2 sections this time.
They're so dumb.
I know, it's crazy. Well, it's a whole other conversation. But yeah, so anyway, Stranger Things season 4. That's and Station 11 was also on my list too. So go ahead. What else you got?
Well, we're gonna do 5 of these. So you already got
I already got 2 down. So why don't you go?
I'll do a couple. So for me, well, actually, Stranger Things is one. One for me, Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
Rings of Power. And honestly, dude, this was number 6. It was between that and Station 11. I freaking loved Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power, and I know that is a controversial opinion because all the shit that I would see online is how much people freaking hated it, how much it deviated from the books, Tolkien be rolling in his grave, but it was a beautifully shot show. I very much enjoyed the story. I guess I'm just a simple-minded person. I think I've said this to you before. Like, I don't get caught up in how it deviated from some like book way back in the day. Like, I thought it was great. I loved it.
The fact, though, that you're 100% right. The fact that it wasn't on my brain, I didn't even put that on things I need to see. How the hell did that skip my list? Like, because we're both big.
You're a Game of Thrones loser.
Well, that's, if you want to allow me, the next thing we'll be talking about for me. But I have to see that show. And it did get renewed, right? It's coming back, right?
I think you'll really enjoy it. There's a rich story and history to that universe, and honestly, the show made me more interested in that than even the movies did. And I think if you remember back to our movie pod, one of my favorite movies of all time is Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Ring. So like, I do very much enjoy that universe, and I enjoy the TV show, and I look forward to the next ones. I can't wait for you to watch
me too. It's got to be on my list, and need to get on that soon. All right, so you already mentioned it. Also, honorable mention on my list. Hot D, House of the Dragon, Game of Thrones, man. I'm back in Westeros. What an unbelievable story this was. I know you're out on Game of Thrones and whatever. That's crazy. We talked about this before. It ended terribly. House of the Dragon is it's a complete story that there has a beginning, ending. I think they said they need 4 seasons to tell the complete story. It's
Give them credit for that.
Fan-freaking-tastic show. How it's a total time jump. They have actors in the first half of the season that are young, and then new actors that come in that I thought, how are they going to be able to stick this? They absolutely did. And it's just a great story. If you enjoyed Game of Thrones seasons 1 through 5 or whatever, you 100% will love House of the Dragon.
Yeah.
It's so good to be back in that world.
If you watch the complete series in 4 years from now and say this was the best thing I've ever seen, maybe I'll give it like
how it ends, how the season ends, it catapults into season 2. I remember this being on my mind constantly for a long time. So House of the Dragon, honorable mention for me.
Okay, love it, dude. Next one for me. You mentioned it in your to watch category, but it's Everything Everywhere All at Once.
You've seen this?
I've seen
I didn't know.
Well,
you've seen it recently?
Yeah, I've seen it in the past couple weeks.
So what the hell? Tell me about it. I'm dying to.
So you haven't
I have not seen this movie. No.
Yeah. I thought you watched this on a plane.
No, that was another.
I was watching it, I thought that you had seen it, so I figured we would actually talk about it. So not to get into spoiler territory, but when I watched this, I thought this was going to be in the top 3 of my year, because people that I follow on Twitter, like people that I like trust their opinion, or I kind of have alignment in their opinions, said it was like the best movie they've ever watched. So I went in with and that's probably part of the problem, like my hype meter was like at 1,000,000%, right? So I thought this is going to be literally the best movie that I've ever seen, with like a touching story, and it was a great movie. I very much enjoyed it. It's obviously on my honorable mentions, but when I really think about the movies that I enjoyed, like I did enjoy Top Gun more, I did enjoy Avatar more, Everything Everywhere All at Once. It's a great story. It's shot well. There are some emotional parts. It just didn't quite have enough to get in that top 5. I love time travel stuff. I love that like multiverse kind of stuff, and some of the thoughts or ideas that they express in it. definitely worth checking out. But it just wasn't enough to get into that top 5, and I expected it would.
Well, now that I know you've watched it, this immediately jumps to like the top of my list, so we can talk about it. So because I did hear, as far as like from multiverse movies that go, it's like top-notch multiverse movie. So I'm really excited about that.
I don't want to say you have to hate it because I forget.
Yeah, you're like your honorable mention. Yeah.
I've seen all year. It just when I was going into it, I was more excited to see this than Top Gun Maverick, and for whatever reason, I just like Top Gun Maverick.
Yep.
You know,
and
just funny how
that's awesome. And mine next one for me is one you mentioned that you want to see is again came out back I think in April or whatever. It's a long movie, but it was great to watch. I loved it. The music of it was so good. Robert Pattinson absolutely crushed it as Bruce Wayne and the Batman. Yep. The cast was awesome. The villains with Penguin and the Riddler. It was just a real story, superhero that kind of put some realism to it, and it's a great movie. And
I've almost thrown it on recently.
Yeah.
And I was looking at some end of year lists from some outlets that we follow, and they were showing like their movie reviews over the course of the year, and one of them gave it a 10 ahead of like all these other movies, even ahead of Top Gun. That might be a stretch, but I was just like, okay, I really do got to see this movie, regardless of if it's a 9 or a 10. But it's definitely highly regarded.
It's awesome, and it's one of those movies that unfortunately you can't watch in 45-minute increments. Like you really got to sit down. It is a heavy movie. You know what I mean? It's not.
I will be watching it in 45 minutes.
Yeah, I know. It's a heavy movie. You know what I mean? It's not like there's not many laughs in it. There's probably some, but definitely worth checking out. And I hope Matt Reeves, supposedly will be going to this, universe again.
Yeah, they've been doing weird stuff over there. They've canceled a bunch of projects.
I don't know what's happening.
Happening next, but hopefully there's a sequel to it because it seems very promising. Yeah. I will say, I've watched the trailer for that movie many
The trailer with the Nirvana song? Oh, jeez.
Great music, cut great, got me fired up for it. I never even seen the goddamn movie,
so check it out for sure. All right, is this your last honorable mention?
No, I've only done 3. We got 5.
Okay, gotcha.
Right. So for me, it's Succession, season 3.
Wait a minute, is Succession? I thought that came out last year. I checked, but you totally.
I did not double check.
I did double check, because Succession would have been in my top 5.
No.
Season 3? Are you freaking kidding me? Succession season 3 was an incredible season of television. They came out pretty.
Oh, you want to know what it is? For me, I'm looking at it. The last episode was like middle of December last year.
Yeah. Okay, so.
For me, I didn't watch it until this year.
Okay, all right, that's fair.
So I actually, and the reason is because I caught up on all the seasons, and it kind of brought me into this year. So I very much think of this in another weird way. I have like a running list of TV shows that I watch in any given year.
Yeah.
And Succession was on that list for me for 2022. So for me, it was an honorable mention because it was an awesome TV show. So maybe it's out of place, but I'm still keeping it here.
Any reason to talk about Succession is a good reason for me. Succession is one of my favorite television shows on TV. That is a must-watch when it's on at 9 p.m. on Sunday night. Like that show, I thought how they built that, and this season specifically, this season was, I thought, their best season. And another HBO theme song that I have on my playlist I listen to all the time. So, yeah, it might have been 20.
That show has some great characters. Even the 5th or 6th best character on that show is a freaking amazing character with a lot of depth.
So much depth, and how they wrapped up this past season specifically was one of my jaw-dropping moments of holy shit. I did not see that coming.
Can't wait to see where it goes.
I can't wait. And the trailer's out. It's coming out soon. I'm so fired up for that. So, yeah. All right, cool.
One of the things I love about it is it's an opportunity to watch billionaires being billionaires.
Yeah.
Right. It's a lot of travel, globetrotting, beautiful locations, just kind of seeing what it's like to be, this isn't like pro athlete level. This is like a handful of people are as rich as these people are in the whole world. Very cool behind the scenes look at that.
Yeah, so anyway, completely agree with you, and that will be on my list for next year. I'm sure it will be when we do this again next December. I only have one left for me, and it's a more recent one that I just saw too was Jordan Peele's.
That was on my to watch list. I didn't mention it.
I loved it. I still don't. Get Out is still my favorite for me for Jordan Peele, but nope, you would love it. It's an alien movie. It's so well shot.
So I haven't watched it yet because isn't it more of a commentary on like Hollywood or what's it a commentary on, right? Like it's trying to send a message on something because I love like any type of movie, but like the message to it kind of just hasn't made me rush to go see it because I kind of feel like it's going to be something different than what I expect.
I don't agree because I listened and read a lot of things since I've watched the movie, and I haven't really got that theme. I mean, it does take place that the two main characters are first African American like horse trainers for Hollywood movies and that kind of stuff, and that's like what they're trying to get into, and then this alien things comes to their ranch. But there's Jordan Peele always has some kind of underlying social commentary, which is normally brilliant and stuff in all his films. But just as a movie, it's awesome, and I thought it lives up to the hype for sure. Yep. Again, another movie you won't be able to do this, but I recommend watching it in its entirety because it is like a lot of complexities. But it's only 2 hours and 10 minutes, something like that. So
love it, dude.
So all right, your last ones.
So this last one, and I have two things here, and it's definitely like on the bottom of my honorable mention list, and I don't really know where to put in. But I'm going to just kind of put it in, even though it kind of doesn't probably fit with a lot of people's top movies. But I really enjoyed watching Don't Look Up earlier this year for a number of different reasons. I'm fascinated by the idea of, in the movie, they know an asteroid's coming 6 months down the road. It's like what that would do to the world, to my life. Like, I'm just interested in what would go through, like, with society if we were in that same position. Great actors in that movie. And it really spoke to me in terms of setting up that half the people don't even believe that the asteroid's coming, despite the clear evidence that it is coming. And obviously, the other half do, and it becomes a political thing, whether or not an asteroid is going to hit. And it obviously does. World ends. And I think the last line was, we could have had it all, or something along those lines that Leo says around a table. You've seen it.
I have not seen Don't Look Up. No, we've talked. Trust me, I already know all about that movie and all, like, talk about social commentary and that kind of stuff in the cast. Again, it's on like a list, and I can't believe I haven't. That one didn't make my list either. So
it's an easy watch. Just watch it for the message that it has to it. It's really fascinating commentary on our society, and just people can't agree on anything, even something as freaking obvious as this. So it makes me think that if this was a real life situation, this is probably how it would.
It's crazy. It's sad to think. Yeah,
it really is sad to think, but it doesn't even feel like it's a 2022 movie, but it is earlier this year. Enjoyed it at the time, so I want to throw it on there just because it's something to talk about.
That's great.
I will say one other honorable mention, super quick. Yellow Jackets on Showtime, Plane Crash, very much Lost vibes, which everyone knows my favorite show ever, so it's an honorable mention. Just kind of throw that on there.
And that got renewed, I think, for 2 more seasons, too. So that one is that one's blowing up, and will be on my list. But so speaking of Lost type things, I'm very confident that your number 2 and my number 1 shows are the same. So want to?
Same here. You haven't mentioned it yet, so you might as well mention it now.
It's Severance. It's Apple Plus's show with Adam Scott as kind of the main star, directed by Ben Stiller, and a lot of things. Just the reason it's number 1 for me is just the originality of it all. This is not an IP. This is not.
Is it based on a book or a short story?
It's not based on a book or short story. I believe it was a guy who years ago wrote a script for this specific story, but it took years to get picked up. I don't believe it's based on a book. I'm actually almost positive it's not. But the original concept of it, I'm just going to give the quick Cliff Notes version of what this show is about for those that don't know. It's on Apple Plus. Essentially what it is, you live in a time where you can opt into this procedure. They put something into your brain, all right? And when you go into a work office for this certain company, and you go up an elevator, all of a sudden, everything you remember about your life is completely forgotten. You don't remember your family, where you came from, any of that sort of stuff. You only know about your job and what you have to do during that 8 hours. You go ahead, you work your 8 hours in your job, you leave, you go in that elevator, and when you go down, it resets, and you don't remember anything that happened from the day. You don't remember your job, and you go back to your life kind of as is. It is an absolute wild concept that they totally, I thought, just dominated telling the story. I hope I did a good job with that explanation.
Oh, no, it was a great explanation, except the elevator actually goes down and not up. But, I mean, no big deal. No big deal. I mean, just
basic direction.
Just wanted to make sure we set the stage for that. But when we did our top TV shows of all time earlier this year, Severance made my honorable mention list, and I stand by that. And I think that just speaks to how much I like Andor, not me backtracking on my list, because I'd probably put Andor on that list now, too. But this Severance and Andor are like 1A, 1B, like basically code number ones. I was blown away by it. There's just so much mystery involved. I thought that they nailed the landing on the finale for the season, set up next season phenomenally. Great performances. Christopher Walken's in it. Patricia Arquette. It's just
that for the finale was one of the best episodes of television I've ever watched. I was on the edge of my seat the entire finale of what was going on, how they were kind of cutting back and forth between things. It was so well done. If you haven't seen or don't have Apple Plus or whatever, this is a show you gotta watch before the next season starts because it's brilliant.
It's strange because I throw Severance out as a recommendation to people all the time, and no one knows what the hell I'm talking about.
Yeah, I know.
Even when I say Severance, it's like they've never even heard of it before, and then I try to explain the concept, and I don't think it sells itself very well when I try to explain it. But watch a trailer. Give that show a shot. It's nothing. It's an easy watch. How many episodes?
I think 8 or 10. No more than 10. I know that.
Yeah, which is they all fly by. They're not like especially long, but it is just unbelievable.
And just think about it. The context of it is like, what kind of person do you have to be, or what kind of maybe trauma or something in your life do you have to go through where you need to forget about basically your life for 8 hours a day? You know what I mean? You go and you don't remember. You don't like that. Takes a certain kind of person to want to agree to this kind of procedure, and that whole underlying thing that we only literally touched the surface on in season 1 is just so fascinating to me.
Yeah, the people when they're working, they're very much questioning why. What is it? Their Audi?
Yeah,
what it's called.
Audi is the person
that lives in the outside world who has decided to do this. Like why their Audi is doing this to them, and then sometimes they'll show up with a bruise in their face or a cut here and there that they got during work, and it's like when you're outside, it's like why did that happen? And there's just this great mystery about what's going on. And honestly, I have no clue to any of it, but there is a nice ending to that first season where it just does give you a little bit of an idea of what's going on.
And the company that runs it, I mean, there's so much more behind the scenes of them too, and like what their intentions are, and this weird like cult like vibe that happens. That's just again so fascinating.
Yeah, love it. And I'm glad it's been number one.
It did get nominated, I think, for Golden Globes when that list came out a couple weeks ago. I know that got nominated for Best Drama. I know Adam Scott, I believe, got nominated for Best Lead Actor. So I'll be rooting hard for them. So Adam Scott, man, from Step Brothers to Parks and Rec, he is absolutely perfect in this role. So
love that guy. He is perfect. Yeah, he's a perfect actor for that role for sure.
So that's our list. So wait, give a quick rundown. 5-1. What was your 5-1?
All right, so I'll do mine. Station 11, 5, Avatar, Top Gun, Severance, and then Andor. For you, it was White Lotus, Andor, Boys, Top Gun, and Severance. So 3 out of 5, we had some overlap, and honestly, White Lotus might have made that list if I had watched it.
After you're done watching White Lotus the next couple of weeks, if you want to do a White Lotus special episode, I'm happy to do that. The show it's so good. So yeah, it's great. But anyway, great list.
Does anyone live up to Armand?
No, Armand, season 1. That character was so funny and perfect. There isn't an Armand in this. Well, there is, but doesn't live up to what Armand was season 1. But the couples that they have, and again, just damn it, Sicily is where they are. It's like God, it's so good. So yeah,
Sicily is not on my radar at all, but
it will be. I guarantee you. After this, you'll be wanting to go to Italy after you watch this. So
awesome, dude. So, loved making this podcast with you.
Yeah.
I look forward to doing it again next year if I'm still doing podcasts.
Damn. Well, if you're going till May, and if we're keeping this trajectory, we still got a couple left. So,
yeah, we'll figure out the next thing to do. But I'm glad we do. A great way to end the year. Thanks for coming on.
Awesome. Always a pleasure, bud. All right. See you in 2023.